So today's a different type of day. We are not doing like a typical gym review. We're not doing a workout, but we are doing something new. If you've watched anything I've done previously, I used to have a podcast. Technically, I still have a podcast. It is in the first season. If you look up Threefold Collective, it's a podcast I did with my wife. My brother now wants to do a podcast with me, and we did the first episode already, so look for that soon. But today we're going to start renovating our art room / music room into a podcast studio. So come with me. If you've seen like the schematic or maybe the walkthroughs or all the original building of the space, we explained where everything was and how everything was going to be laid out, but that changed once my friend Julie's assistant Laura moved in with us. The podcast room, which was this room over here, this was the room that we made into her room, which was previously the podcast room. This room is completely soundproofed. It has insulation in the walls, so it's like really quiet in there. So it was great for podcasts because it's super quiet in there when all there's craziness going on here. So we bought some materials. If you look down, I don't know whether you can see down here on the basketball floor, we have a bunch of wood down there. We have like 6 pieces of plywood, a bunch of thin slats. We're going to create a space in here for our podcast. This is the art room, and our plan is to use this side of the space for a podcast studio. So this back of the room, this back half of the room here will still be used for art and whatnot on this side. But on this side, we're planning on doing 3 different walls so that we can have 3 different spaces for different podcasts. So my brother and I can do a podcast. I probably potentially would have a single podcast, and then a podcast maybe if I start season 2 of the Threefold Collective, we'll do it on this wall. So this wall here will be a setting for 1 podcast. We're going to put up a false wall here for a second backdrop for another podcast. And then right here, we're going to do a 3rd wall here designed for a 3rd setting for a podcast. So what you're about to watch is all of the process towards doing that. Some of it, hopefully, we'll give you tips along the way, but it's going to be like a mess, and we're thinking it up as we go. So you're as much on the adventure as we are in the journey. So let's get started. Okay, so first order of business, we need to clear out this entire space so that we can actually make it dirty, because I don't want to get the rugs and stuff a mess in the process. So time-lapse time. All right, I think this is a good time to introduce you to my son, Corbin. He is my youngest son. He's a twin, a boy-girl twin. He's the boy. And something I've been learning as I've been hanging out with him more. Well, first of all, he wants to be an architect. So I involve him in all my woodworking projects so that he kind of learns the minute process of building buildings and the very small aspects of it. And here he is just kind of helping him out with this wall that we're putting up to divide the room up. He
needs like very specific instructions. I can tell him, hey, can you move this piece of wood to this spot? But then he needs to know like, okay, well, what spot, where, like, what do you mean left, right? And I think actually during this project was the first time he heard the terms vertical and horizontal. So I was teaching him that. But this was a fun project to work with him on. And we were just building this wall to divide this 45-foot room up into half so we could just use one half for the podcast. This is actually his first time using a drill, and I had to teach him how to not strip the head by pressing the drill in too lightly. And I don't know, it's just fun, work with your kids, not just physically and getting stronger, but like life skills. I learned how to do everything you see here and all this whole project from my dad showing me how to cut wood, measure twice, cut once, that whole thing. So it's important to me to pass on those same skills to my kids. And so my son might not learn it all in this one go, but in the future, when he's my age, he'll say, oh, I remember when my dad taught me how to do X, Y, Z. And we enjoyed it. It was a fun process. And in a second, you will see that wall being put up and us painting it. I also taught him here about how to square up a wall and to make sure that diagonally it's the same length both ways. So again, just a small skill that he will learn and use for a lifetime. So we just finished what I would say is phase one of the podcast room. We did one of the walls, and you know what? Let me just show you and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so like I was just saying, this is phase one, completion of the podcast room. This is what our main wall will be. At some point, I believe that we'll finish this wall. I'm thinking of making this possibly like a shoe wall and put a whole bunch of shoes up here. I have a lot of shoes that I don't wear, and that'd be an awesome place to put that. And our third wall is still just not done yet. But for the most part, we already have one podcast finished. I'll link that somewhere up here so you guys can see that, but that was done inside of the gym downstairs, and the other one was in other places in the gym. So during that whole time we were building this place, but now it's done. This is what it looks like. So anyways, yes, this is what we did for the podcast room, but for you guys in your gym, this could be your wall too. I didn't do like a how-to on how to do all the steps. Obviously you guys just saw that it was a lot of kind of just fast forward and time lapses of what we did, but this is super easy. This entire room of everything I have in here costs about $500. So if you want to spruce up the walls in your gym, spruce up an office wall, anything like that, you can do the same thing. Minus like the chairs and the area rug, everything else was about a total of $500. I can link some of those things below. Most of it was from Home Depot, so I mean, just go to Home Depot and buy it. And a few things were from Hobby Lobby, so I won't. The only things that I will link are the things that I actually got from Amazon, because those are the only linkable things. So I'll put those down below, and it's the lights. And then this little cool thing here, I'll show you guys. It's a clicker that actually turns on and off my light system here. Complete darkness, and then backlight. So that's how we do the backlight. We'll be adding other things in here, like studio lights to light us up when we're in here, because this is kind of like super moody mode. Let me turn on the main light to show you guys what it looks like with just the house lights on. So this is what it looks like with the house lights on. We won't have these on when we're doing the podcast. We'll have actual key lights on either one of us. This room will continue to evolve. I think right here in this space in the middle, we'll end up putting a table and have the podcast here, because I don't imagine us being just us two forever. I have two other brothers. If you're watching, move to Texas. They can be the full broadcast. And then also if we have guests, for them to sit at the table along with us. So that's future things. Thank you for hanging out with us and being on this journey of this whole project with us. It was definitely fun to do. I recommend you guys to do something like this to make your areas look kind of just like moody and a place that you love to be in, whether it be your office again, a podcast room that you want to do, or your gym. And make it a place that you want to actually be in, hang out in, and have fun in, and just inspires you to do better. Continue to hang out with us, continue watching the videos, and tune into the broadcast, the Blueprints broadcast, and see what my brother and Austin and I are talking about. This is a cool journey that we're on, and thank you guys so much. We're almost at 800 subs, trying to get 1,000, so thank you so much for everyone that has subbed and that is supporting us here. If you like the video, and we will see you in the next.